Hi, welcome back, and today we're going to make some pasta sauces. I have 4 different sauces. As always, the recipes are online for you to print out. We're going to make garlic and oil, a light fettuccine sauce, and a arrabbiata, as well as pesto. So we're going to start with the pesto, and a lot of people use it, dip your crackers or bread in, but there's a way to make it so that you can use it as a pasta sauce. So I have some garlic, and as much as I love garlic, and when it says use just like 1 small clove, that's what I do. So for some reason, this is one recipe where too much garlic is too much of a good thing. And then I'm going to break up our basil, put the leaves in. You probably could put the stems in because they'll get mushed up, but nothing I kind of find appealing. And this does use a lot of basil, so if you grow it in the summer, it's really nice. And once you make your pesto, you can put it in individual size servings and freeze it, which is really nice. And I have an AeroGarden, so I always have basil, which is really fun. Just grow that all year round. All right, so we have our basil and our garlic in a little food processor. And then we're going to put some pine nuts in. As usual, I have the measurements for you on the recipe pages. Okay, we're going to grind this up. And it's a little bit noisy. You want to make a paste out of it. We got 1 stray leaf there. Get these down. That's it for another second. Okay. Then we're going to add the olive oil in. Okay. We're going to mix that around just to make sure we got the right amount in there. Okay, so we are good. So what I'll show you is this kind of has a nice little smooth texture. Too much oil, it just doesn't. It's just the only taste is the olive oil and not the whole mixture. So this is just the really nice consistency that it is to have the oil in there. And then we're going to add in grated cheese. I use Pecorino Romano. You can use a Parmesan cheese, whatever your favorite flavors are. Down 1 time. Okay, we are good. So I'll put this onto the bowl so you can see what it looks like, but then show you how to turn it into the sauce for your pasta. See, it's got a nice thick consistency. So what I do next, I just put a little bit of half and half in, and that's going to make it a nice texture for the sauce. And as usual, I make a mess. So I'll put a little bit more in. So by putting the cream in, it lightens it up and it makes it easier to coat your pasta with. So you can have it like that or a little bit thinner. And so you put this just on your hot pasta and it just kind of melts right into it. So we'll put this on our pasta and we'll toss it. Put a little bit at first just to see if it's the right amount. You can always add more. So there you have your pasta with your pesto. And you've got enough pesto left over to dip in also. So that's our first sauce. I'm going to put that over. Clean up the mess. And that's what I'm going to tell you about. We've actually covered it in another class. And that is marinara sauce. And in this case, it's arrabbiata. So marinara is very adaptable, or it's very easy. It's a good base for a lot of sauces. You can make a pink vodka sauce with it. In this case, the arrabbiata, the garlic and oil and tomatoes and onions, they're all cooked all together, and then I puree them, make them nice and smooth. For the arrabbiata, when I do that, I just put the peppers in with the tomatoes and the garlic and the oil and the onions, cook it all together. And then the peppers get all pureed also right along with the other vegetables, so you really don't even see them in there. And you can put, like, to a recipe, put 1 in, 3, 2, 3, 4, however hot you want it to be. But the nice part about it is it does really puree nicely, and it is nice and smooth in the marinara sauce. So that takes care of that. The next thing we're going to do is make just a basic garlic and oil.
Yep.
All right, so our garlic and oil, I have garlic in our pan, and I'm going to add our oil in. Thus the name, garlic and oil. All right. And just as a informational kind of a thing, garlic, you can never tell how potent it is. Different ones are, some are very mild tasting, some are very strong. So sometimes if I make something with garlic and I've used a whole head and it still isn't enough, I'll substitute, or I will add to it some garlic powder, which helps. So as you can see, bubbles are starting to form already here. So you want to saute the garlic, but not burn it, and it can burn really quickly, so you just really have to watch it. And what I do to this, once it is sauteed and the garlic is golden, then I add a little bit of water in, and that helps to finish softening the garlic. And then I just wait till that evaporates, and then my sauce is ready. So it's cooking really nicely at the moment. So keep an eye on it. So you definitely don't want to burn it. Burnt garlic just has a very bitter taste to it, not pleasant. So another couple seconds here. As you can see, that's cooking very nicely. And as always, the proportions are on your recipes. All right, so that's, you can see that the bubbles are going through the garlic, which means, they're just about ready to turn brown. So I just add a little bit of water in. And this is when I add some salt in. This only takes about a minute or two for the water that I added in to evaporate. While that's cooking, I'm going to start to melt the butter for the light fettuccine. Now, the traditional fettuccine is butter and cream. And it obviously is delicious, but it is also very, very rich. So I came up with making a variation of that, and I'm going to make a light white sauce and then add in the cheese. I'm sorry, the traditional has the buttercream and the cheese and the grated cheese in it. So you see all the water in here bubbling away, but that's serving double duty of getting the garlic nice and tender. So this is almost cooked out. Now what I like to do as a variation, you could add fresh vegetables in. And that's what I'm going to do today to show you some variations. You could add some basil in. Today I'm going to do fresh spinach and tomatoes. All right, so we are good to go here for this. I'm going to add in our fresh tomatoes, and here's the spinach. And our sauce is all done. So in this case, we're going to add in, I'm just going to add the pasta into the pot. Toss that around. And we're going to add a little bit more. Just to get it coated. And one nice rule of thumb with pasta and sauce is that I cook it a little bit under how I actually like it when I eat it. And then you put your pasta into your sauce and it finishes cooking, and it also absorbs the sauce into it, and it's a lot more flavorful, excuse me. So there's our garlic and oil, with our fresh tomatoes and spinach. You don't want to leave the garlic behind. Here we have that. Then our next sauce is our light fettuccine. So the butter has melted, and I'm going to bring this up to get it to bubble a little bit, and we're going to make a roux. Most people know a roux from making gumbo, where you take oil and flour and then you cook it until the flour is brown, and it can be in from like light caramel color to like a dark chocolate color, depending on how you want your gravy to taste. White sauce is also a roux. In this case, it's butter and flour. All right, so you see the butter is bubbling. I'm going to add in our flour. So you see how the flour absorbed the fat already. And now the key part to making a white sauce is very beginning, you just put a very little bit of your liquid in. You can see how that changed to absorbing the liquid. If you added it all at once, you'd have a lumpy mess. And this way, it helps to get mixed in, and so you have a nice smooth sauce when you're all done. And you can see how that little by little is absorbing. As you do it, you can add a little bit more liquid at a time. So on this I'm using half and half to keep this sauce to be a little on the lighter side. And the whisk helps to break up, make sure you got all the flour broken up so that's not lumpy either. And this sauce doesn't take long. The hardest thing, I guess, is not to burn the butter at the very beginning. And it's turned into a sauce little by little. Now after the sauce is made, we're going to add the cheese in. So I make the sauce pretty thin because the cheese is going to thicken up the sauce too. And at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of salt in. And more cream. Alright, we are almost there. Looks a lot different than it did a minute ago. Alright. So now this is, as you can see, is nice and thin, and you do want to definitely heat it up. You want to make sure that the flour gets rid of the raw flour taste. And that's just by bringing it up to a boil a little bit. So we'll let that come up just a little to see some bubbles from cooking. And then we'll add our cheese in, and then our sauce will be all done. And it's good to stir it too, you don't want it to stick to the bottom of the pan. You lose a lot of sauce that way. Alright, so I'm starting to see some bubbles. I'm going to add in some cheese. I just whisk that around just to get the cheese melted. And our sauce is all done. So generally I would add in pasta back into the pan, but for today we're gonna just pour it on top. We're gonna stir it around. Toss it to coat it, and then just put on the amount that you like. Some people like a little bit, some like it swimming in it, just all up to you what you like. And definitely taste it to see if you want more cheese in it, if it needs more salt. And there is your light fettuccine sauce. Alright, so here's our pasta with our 4 sauces today. We have our pesto, garlic and oil with some of our fresh vegetables added in, the light fettuccine, and our arrabbiata sauce. So, buon appetito!